Yeah, the only argument is whether or not you're going to accept it.
Accept it.
And so that's where we move from knowing to seeing. Because the facts have laid the undeniable truth down. Now we move into the next position was, am I willing to accept where I came from? Am I willing to accept that all this is blessing, bonus, extreme miracle up to this current moment? Am I willing to accept that? Then, are you willing to accept your responsibilities in this current moment?
Right.
And so, the responsibility thing is something that I've been working on over the last 2 weeks that I haven't been too vocal about it, but it's just something that's been coming to me, is that we can accept where we came from. And again, we can say that we accept our current position. But if we don't know our responsibilities within that position, it's impossible to know who you are, where you are. And it's impossible to surrender yourself to the infinite possibilities. Because you got to know what is on your plate today. You got to know what you're in charge of. We're not just floating around, getting graced, and everything's going to be okay. That's not the way it works. We have to take ownership all the way, like he was saying, from the beginning, just like we did at the beginning when we decided to get into this place of understanding, or when we were forced into it. Like I was telling Rob yesterday, that we're the lucky ones. Our lives forced us into this position in some way, shape, or form. Where most people don't get that experience. But we've got to take enough time to understand what my responsibilities are today. Not what my worries are. Not what is in the future. Not what happened yesterday. What is right now. And a lot of those things carry over from day to day, based on your current position. You show up, and when certain things intersect your current position, right now, reality, this very moment, then oftentimes what your responsibilities are change. So we get ourselves all jacked up thinking that we're in a different position and that we have other responsibilities, and we have no idea who we are in this very moment and what we really are supposed to be doing. Therefore, we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing, and we're getting off track, and before you know it, we get hit with something that trips us up. Now, you got to know it, you got to memorize it like Cross did, repetition. Now we got to do it. We got to see it. So you got to take time, be intentional. If you can't get that focused, then you might want to remove some things from your life until you can. Because you got to be able to close your eyes and work through this process and really come up with focused, grounded, vivid things. It's the most important thing in your current position. I'm telling you. You might not know that yet. Work, dinner, working out, Robin, the Adonai house for women, whatever, rabbi, Sunday, meet the press, meet the rabbi. If those things get in the way of this, then you're out of position. Because this is it. Because now we start to visualize it, we're able to take our body there, smells, sights, feelings, emotions, we're able to take our body there, and then we can move forward.
If you walk into your current moment, after doing that process accurately, and surrendered and accept that place, right? Then you should have picked up along the way some things that remind you or show you what your real responsibilities are. right? Because we have a tendency to get caught up in surface responsibilities. Like my responsibility is to get payroll done, right?
Materialistic.
That's a job. Exactly. It's
Material world.
and if you find yourself in that, and that's how I've had to identify it over the last few weeks, and I've been practicing it. If I arrive here and I look at what my responsibilities are, and they're all materialistic, I've arrived improperly. I haven't really arrived, right? I'm not there. If I show up and I realize that it's all inner workings, it's all me, right? And because what I've picked up along the way is the moments that I should grab onto when I've done this right, are things that teach me and make me realize that the things that got me success along the way were not the material things of me acquiring things. They were the processes and moments in which I was giving or being kind or being selfless, right? In those things. I still might have been doing my job. I still might have been mowing a yard or whatever.
Part of your responsibility.
It's part of my responsibilities. But those weren't the things that made that stuff happen, right? And it goes back to, like, I've had to go back to, it's really about me working on me at all the time.
But certainly beginning and ending with you.
Yes.
Responsibilities come in the middle.
Yeah. And like I said, there's those things there, but if I get to the end of that and I'm like, mow the yard, do payroll, those things, like those are jobs. They're responsibilities. I don't know how you would title those, but those aren't the responsibilities I have to get into that place with, because I will attach myself to those responsibilities improperly. Those material responsibilities. I have an inner responsibility that I have to arrive at first, so that I can approach those external responsibilities that come across my path properly. Because I can approach payroll properly and improperly. I can approach dealing with a person at work properly or improperly, right? So it's all about how I bring myself into that moment to deal with that individual, but it's not the individual, it's me.
Like, being a husband and a father is a responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Understand that. It's not more important than you. No matter what you tell yourself or how you think about it. Your job is a responsibility. These are things that are responsibilities in your current position. And when you are in that position properly, you execute your responsibilities
Properly.
in perfection or near perfection, which allows you to get into this groove of ecstasy or nirvana, or just this place that's undescribable and undeniable all at the same time. And nothing's really changed. You didn't get a raise. You didn't get this. You didn't win the lottery. You didn't get a chip. You didn't achieve this. You just intersected with it and accepted it and then moved on. It's just who you are at that moment. And you go through life and you're like, people around you are like, man, you're different. Your wife says, you're so calm. What's going on here? He's got a Christmas tree in his living room and he's still calm. Last year,
The last couple of years I would have been off the chain. It was major issues.
so let's look at that for a second. About a month and a half ago, maybe, or a month ago, I sent out an email. Said, this stuff has changed in my life. I want you to go on this journey or adventure with me. I've heard from some people. I haven't heard from others. But you are someone who took that information and applied it. Why?
Well, I don't know. So there's my simplest thing with why is I understand who Jason is in my life, and I accept who he is in my life, even when I don't understand who he is in my life. And I've grown enough to know that there are certain people in my life that God, or the universe, or however you want to call it, has positioned for me to be in a reciprocal relationship with at different points in time, however that is. But, so I know when he sends something over, I don't question the whole, like, shoulda, woulda, need to check this out, blah, blah, because, one, I know how he is. So I know that he's not going to send me anything that he hadn't done on himself. He didn't Google it and 5 minutes later send it to me, right? He didn't like click, send it over. So there's a trust factor there. But like I said, at the end of the day, I know who he is in my life, so I don't have to go through that process. My process is, okay, great, now let me figure out what he sent me so I can digest it and then start doing this, right? And there must be a benefit to it. So I wanted to open, and I've also, I got in that position called, okay, where have I come from? What have I experienced along the way? Well, I've experienced, one of the things I've learned is you don't know crap. And when I put myself in the position of you don't know crap, I'm always in a position to learn. And in the moments in my trip where I positioned myself where I had all the answers, I haven't learned anything and I've been miserable.
How much did you know in jail?
Nothing. Yeah, I knew nothing. And that's one of the reasons I go back there. Again, that's another reason I go back there is in all the stuff I've learned, there have been, in the last few years, moments where I feel like I've solved the puzzle. And in those moments where I felt like I solved the puzzle, or that at least I solved more of the puzzle than everybody else.
You're getting ready to find the last piece to the puzzle and put it together.
Yeah, I'm getting ready. I've got it. I'm just waiting for somebody else to come along and experience this moment with me. It's miserable, and I end up being the only person with this piece of crap puzzle that's not really solved. So if I go back and realize I don't know anything, and the moments in my trip up until my current moment where I've realized I don't know anything have been the moments where I've gotten to experience those things. I've also been able to look at it and say, well, I thought I knew Christianity when I was in jail, and then I got out and realized that I didn't know crap. Even though I thought I knew some stuff. I knew jailhouse Jesus. Then I got into church and thought I knew it all, and then God slapped me across the face with the Torah. And then I got into Torah and thought I knew it all. So I've learned the hard way 2 times too, because some of those transitions were not as easy as they could have been had I been open to the fact that Eric has not arrived and this is not the end of the story. So one of the first things is, it's from Jason, and I'm tired of experiencing the same lesson over and over again, which is God trying to show me something to help me to become and move or whatever it is. So open up yourself and understand this is who it is. You don't know. Don't go down the path of, all self-righteous, like this doesn't fit into your current puzzle. It's not going to fit into your current puzzle. Everything that's changed in my life that's hit me really hard and caused exponential growth has been something that's made me really uncomfortable. So I said, hey, this is something new and different. Boom. But at the end of the day, in a nutshell answer, I know his role in my life.
Well, you know where you came from. And we've been, part of that is our relationship from where you came from.
Yep.
And you know who I am.
Yep.
So that allows you to be in a position to receive something and apply it and experience it, because you know that you want something, you want more, you want something greater that you haven't arrived at. I haven't arrived at. None of us have, and that we're simply continuing on our journey, our adventure of self-restoration. Yeah, it began with drugs and alcohol.
I think for me, one of the things that I experienced intentionally going back to my place, I'll call it my place of origin, right, is that one of the things that I came to the conclusion of there was I didn't know anything, but it was my most powerful moment.
It was your weakest moment.
My weakest moment and my most powerful moment at the same time.
Isn't that crazy?
And so instead of continuing to try to acquire my own version of knowledge or religion or all this other stuff, my goal is to figure out how to stay in that moment by any means possible. That's my new, and I don't know exactly how that's going to look when I'm 50 or 60 years old, but that's the place. That's the place. That's my sweet spot. And and if I go back there, then I can carry that with me into each moment that I walk into and be in that moment. And the problem I've experienced is that religion and knowledge have gotten in my way big time. Because I get addicted to knowledge and I get addicted to religion because they make my material part of Eric Sims feel good. I don't think I'm unique in that. I think that's probably a common thread for most individuals.
That's what it is. That's what belief systems do.
Yeah.
In communities, authentic or not, most community is like a Sour Patch Kid. First they're sweet, or no, that's the other way around. That don't work.
I know what you
That
meant,
would've
though.
been a good one.
It's like reverse Sour Patch.
Yeah, it's reverse Sour
Willy
Patch.
Wonka reverse
Have they
Sour
ever made that? You probably made it.
Did you ever turn one inside out and then suck on
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
it? It's a reverse Sour Patch.
But that's what it is. It's like you get into it and it's all good. It makes you feel good. People notice you. You're the new person. Then you get responsibility within the organization. And then one day you go, this isn't filling my tank anymore. I'm out. Or you get hurt. Emotionally, spiritually, whatever, relationally, physically. And you get out. And so it's never... You go into every belief system, every situation, knowing what's going to happen before you get there. And that's the problem with living in the material world, is that it's always going to do that same thing over and over again. But when you go inward, and you just simply accept who you are, where you are in that moment, and the people that God has placed around you, or your creator, or whatever around you at this very current moment, you'd be an idiot. You might be an educated idiot, but you would definitely be in that area if you thought that it all just miraculous, it's just all happy chance, or quinky dink, or whatever. You are where you are at this current moment by design. And it wasn't yours. It wasn't your design. It wasn't your understanding. So you have a choice. You can accept it, maximize it by knowing who you are, where you are, or you can deny it and play the role, play the character, be the actor, know all the right things to say in whatever environment you're in, but ultimately, internally, you're no better off than when you came in. You're just not currently under the influence of whatever brought you here. It's like with you. You got 1 year. It's an incredible feat. It is an undeniable miracle. Right? But the reality is that if you didn't accept your current position and who you are, where you are, based on these people that are around you and where you came from, the reality is nobody leaves and goes and does what you had to do, take care of business, comes back with his bed in the same place, with the same job, maybe even a better one, and continues on like nothing ever happened. Like it does not exist. Like that was the biggest glitch in the Matrix I've ever experienced. I still am questioning myself on how it happened. Because some way, shape, or form, I have run organizations and that just doesn't happen.
Yeah, you're talking about when he was gone.
Yes.
Yeah. So I never told you this, but I had nothing to do with you keeping your job. Zero. And the fact that no one canceled you, fired you, termed you, other than if anybody asked me, I said he's planning on coming back. That was it. I didn't tell him where you were. I told him he's supposed to be coming back. Y'all do whatever you need to do. Because I've learned not to get involved. I've got to let God do his thing, not Eric Sims. So all that took place, and I've never, ever seen anybody and I know the guys that run the project who I've never seen them even respond like that. Like some guy leave for 30 days and they go, "Hey, when's he coming back?" I don't know. All right, is he coming back? Yeah. We'll see him when he gets here. And I'm like, and it went like from 1 week to 2 weeks to where it was 4 or 5 weeks long. And then as soon as he gets back to
maybe,
hey, welcome back.
Yeah, maybe a day, maybe, but like really not. Most organizations, couple hours, and I don't know where you are. You're gone. So for that to be your whole life, not just one area. One area is an absolute miracle.
Yeah.
Just your job is an absolute miracle. But then here at the Adonai house, or in your family, or in society as a whole, your actual position. You couldn't have put this together if you sat down and had every book and every piece of knowledge and knew everything you ever thought you could ever want to know and then wrote your plan out. It wouldn't have come together like that. It's an absolute miracle. Your life will never get better than this very moment today. You are an incredible success and a force to be reckoned with that obviously causes major glitches in the matrix.
Yep.
You have a choice.
Got it.
You can accept that.
Dodging bullets.
I can't wait to edit that. I'm gonna throw some bullets in. I mean, is that vivid enough for you? Do you think you can recall that?
Yeah.
I mean, I can do that for each one of you if I need to. Each one of you, including Rob. And just give a perspective of reality and truth, undeniable, based on the simple things that have been placed in my life and in your life. Unbelievable. How could you not start each day from just like, whoa! Let me get him! Shaniqua, what up? I mean, wow. Boom!
Have 900 dust shows and done, you won't face you.
Nothing could phase you. You would never get out of position. You'd be like, oh, what's up, bro? You know, thank you for loving my daughter. Man, happy Thanksgiving. Deuces. In the zone. Because you started in the right place. That was so vivid from where you came from. Which I'll never forget. I remember it like it was yesterday.
I don't know if these guys remember it though. Like,
I know.
That's I
And
mean,
that's
maybe they do. That's what I'm saying.
That's where I'm getting, is that they need to take the time
I want
to
I want
understand
to
that.
articulate this like next week. What time is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to. Like,
They're not going to articulate it now.
No,
They're
I
going to
want-
get the
No, that's what I'm saying. Maybe next week.
My
That's
name
what they
is
come in.
David.
Yeah. That's what I've heard before. My name is, I came in on this. My position.
Alex.
My name is Bob. My position is Adonai house. I ate some cheese biscuits, and now I feel good.
But wasn't it? We talked
That's what
about
I want to hear next week. I want to hear like
Like where you came
walk me,
from.
walk me through like where you came through from. What's there? What is it? You know, what are you grabbing onto? What is it that? How does that moment change you? You know, I mean, you heard me articulate mine. You heard him talk about a moment for him like it was his own. You know, I mean, he got
'Cause
emotionally
it is my
changed
moment.
and charged. Well, yeah, all their moments are moments.
I know.
That's the beauty of it. But he was able to change your whole existence in his just talking about it to you. So there's such a power in those moments that even somebody else talking to you about your moment can charge you and change you. But I want to hear you guys articulate that authentically.
So, I was on the phone with your dad yesterday for a little bit. And I can't remember after we got done talking about the car stuff. He said, you know, we talked a minute about the book, and he's like, I don't even know what I'm getting into, but I already know it's going to change my life. And I'm like, you better believe it is, Dad. It's going to change your life. You thought you knew everything, Mr. Museum Man. You ain't got no idea. So he said, I know that. I know I don't have any idea. He said, I don't know what night it was or whatever when Will was up here, but we went and ate dinner or something with this other family, and someone ended up asking him a question about who he was and where he was, and he said he laid something down that he had the whole room crying and questioning their own belief all at the same time. And he said it was the greatest moment of my life. I could never be happier than anything else in that very moment. And I thought, yeah, I know. I'm not thinking to myself, I just kicked your son out of my office and had to bring him back into position because he was so jacked up. But see, there are times that when we are who we are, just like this weekend for you, Sunday with everyone up there, and you had the time to be authentic and do that with your family. There are times that we don't know anything. We simply open our mouth and white light comes out of it. The frequency of restoration and creation. And we're not in control of it. When we get done and we go back and you say, well, what'd you say? You have no idea. But yeah, everyone was crying. People that you didn't know. A guy that couldn't even put a sentence together when he came here. Because he was so self-conscious of himself. And so scared about what people thought of him. And he walked around with his face up, mean-looking at everybody, and his pants on the ground, and his hat turned sideways. As a front.
I remember that.
Are we talking about Alex?
No. And here's a guy that is blowing his dad's mind, is educated, successful, blowing his mind on stage, the stage of life. And you didn't plan for it, it just happened. And at that moment, because of being in a position long enough and hitting repeat over and over and over again, your body took over. And your Creator said, watch this. And it happened. That's who you are. That's where you came from. You will never be any greater than this very moment. You'll never be any greater than that very moment, because you know why? You accepted it. You accepted your position when you were asked the question. And when given the opportunity, you just shared your testimony. What's that? Who you are, where you are, and where you came from. And people stand on the side and go, you know how many dirtbag kids and adult children are in this country that didn't do a sliver of the things that we've done wrong? I mean, not a sliver. Like, I don't even go there. They, honest to God, have never done what we would consider anything wrong, much less evil, that we've done. And they just coast through life, never knowing who they are or where they are. But you were blessed. And you got placed in this position. And because of it, you will go and do greater things. Every single day, if you're willing to be in the moment and accept your current position based on who you are, where you came from, and the responsibilities involved. And you won't have to worry about tomorrow. And you won't have to worry about Christmas, and you won't have to worry about the New Year, and you won't have to worry about jobs, and you won't have to worry about anything, because you'll be so busy living in ecstasy in the current moment. And truthfully, for those of you that have been here, and us included, if we were to authentically examine the undeniables in our life, we would see that 1 year, 2.5, 3 year coming up. What are we working on, a month? It doesn't matter. 9 years, 11, working on 12 years. Nothing that we've accomplished in this time that we really hold on to as greatness was of our doing. It was simply given to us when we were in the right position.
I always go back to when you were talking about how there's people who have done far worse things or far different things than what we would consider, and they're just walking around like zombies. The other thing that I always have to remind myself is there's people who've done far less, who are in prison for life or dead. There's those in that end of the spell, that bookend. I kind of bookend it like that, and so so the undeniable part for that for me is that something out there saw fit for me to get however many days I have left from that point forward for something, and that's always it kind of helps position me too, because it's humbling to think of, I'm on whatever you want to call it, borrowed time or whatever, but it does help position me to think and say, coulda, woulda, shoulda, again, went out the window a long time ago. Because if I go by statistics, if I go by what I've seen happen with everybody else, none of these things that I have, there isn't if I look at my life, there isn't if I were to lay it out on paper to somebody and say, here's the facts, take a look at this and tell me what you think. Anybody that has any common sense would look at it and go, this is complete and utter fiction. It's got to be from tip to tail. Like the fact that I'm even alive, based on so like that, would throw people off. But the second piece of it is that to take the things that did happen with me and say, oh yeah, well he has this job, he has this income, he has this family, he has
no way
this. They'd say, you're out of your mind. I'm in such a small percentage, and I'm talking about myself. You guys are too. But we are in such a small percentage of humanity that it's immeasurable, and then that becomes undeniable because you can't. People look at it and go, "It doesn't make any sense. You break all the rules. You don't make any sense." Statistics tell us that you're supposed to be this way,
break
this
the
way,
rules in the rules.
Yes. So it's a crazy thing to think about, and again, that just helps me when I'm sitting in that place going, who do I think I am?
Well, that gets you out of your pity party.
It gets me out of the pity party and gets me a lot of gratitude, right? Because it's real. Is that the reality of the matter is that for whatever reason we're all very, very, very special.
Like short bus special.
Like better than short bus special. Then I start tying in stuff about, okay, so then you get past that, and then we could be sitting in some church with the rest of the mindless congregations going down the same path, beating our head against the same wall for the rest of existence, and still be okay. But for whatever reason, the author and creator of things decided to rip us out of that and show us something grander. And we could be sitting in a Jewish synagogue doing that, but the author of creation decided to show us something grander than that. We could be sitting in an AA room doing fine.
Yeah, sober is all get
Sober
out.
as all get out. And maybe even happy.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, we were plucked out of all those things and moved it even to a smaller percentile. I mean, you got to think, the people who are drug addicts or alcoholics who get clean and stay clean is a small percentage. People who are drug addicts and alcoholics who find any type of real relationship with God is even smaller. And people who have a relationship with God as intimately as all the people in this room do and are on the adventure that we're on. Adventure is a really great word because it is not a journey, it's an adventure. Is even smaller. You know, so we are like the minute of the minute. And you guys experience when you tell your stories up at Torah or whatever else, it blows people's minds, right? They're like, they can't even.
I mean, come on, homeboy, he loses his wallet, and they put it in the mail and send it back to him, and he still don't know who he is, where he is.
Yeah.
He drives the car to go pick up a table that we purchased for the women's house for $200, shares a segment of his testimony. These guys, just who they are, where they are. They say, you know what? Keep your money. Here's the stuff. And he drives back up here and gives me the money.
Yeah.
Like, that's not normal. You're not normal. Quit trying to be normal.
In a good way now. Yeah.
Just be like, wow, I lost something. And even within my insanity and my lack of ability to execute, I must be doing something right because they put my wallet back in the mail, paid for it to be shipped to me and delivered to me. That's a miracle. Well, that just didn't happen. Someone designed that and it wasn't you. Because you did everything you could to lose the wallet.
Despite yourself.
Find it too.
You know, so it's like, what? That's who I am. So it's made in the image of God. Which God? God the Creator. There's only one God that has the ability to create. And I was made in His image. So somewhere in there is an image of God. Close your eyes and soak that in and think about what kind of light or energy that might bring upon your body at that very moment. And rest in that space and see if you're moved a little bit.
You know, that gets you well grounded in where that is. You know, those things that you could like taste it, smell it, touch it. You know, when you're there.
And so when you speak, we should be able to taste it, smell it, and be there. So if you can't convince yourself, you're probably not going to be able to convince us. So you might want to start there. See, I can tell you stories about each one of your lives and have it not even be about you and still affect you, as if it were. Because I believe it, I know it, it's in here. I've experienced it, and because I've experienced it and tasted it, I can bring anyone to that place. They don't ever have had to have gone there, but I can bring them there. Why? Because I'm a good speaker? No, I'm actually a recovered drug addict and alcoholic, high school dropout that still can't spell. But I sure can share my testimony. And I sure can share other people's testimonies based on my experience with it. Because I believe it, I know it more than anything else. And people say, well, you know, you used to be in the church and you used to be over here doing this and you're doing this and you're doing this. And I said, listen, as of this current moment, if it doesn't affect me today, then I don't need to think about it. If it doesn't impact my current moment, then I don't need to know it. Because it's irrelevant to my current position. And I still believe in the same God, the same energy, the same force that I believed in day one. Because nothing's changed. He hasn't. That's for sure. I have changed. And I didn't change what I thought I believed in. It was simple. It was basic. It was a place of complete humility and understanding of, I know nothing. Obviously, look what I've done with my life. I've wrecked my responsibilities. And I'm blessed to even take a breath. And so I surrendered myself and accept my current position and surrender myself to infinite possibilities. And it's really been the same thing every day thereafter. God hasn't changed, and, you know, the principles haven't changed, the universal part of it that is written into us hasn't changed. The environment's changed, the platform's changed. What I thought I knew might have changed, but not what keeps me showing up every day.